Every year, hundreds of thousands of visitors are drawn to Stonehenge to marvel at the ancient site and wonder about its mysteries.
Well, one of those visitors, an inventor and former engineer from Dorset, decided to try and crack the puzzle of what the stones were for. Now, his theory is revolutionary, that the stones were part of a building, a seat of power.
And that the summer and winter solstice ceremonies there took place protected from the elements by a giant wooden roof. Martin Dowse has tonight's Meridian report.
It's one of the world's eternal mysteries, passed down across 45 centuries. We know when Stonehenge was built, we know how it was built. But what remains the centre of historical and archaeological debate is why it was put there. An ancient calendar of the seasons laid out with geometric perfection to mark the solstices is the most commonly held theory. But could this precise layout have been for a practical as well as a mystical purpose? Bruce Bedlams is a puzzle maker from Bournemouth, inventor of geometric conundrums. For the last 2 decades, he's put his puzzle maker's mind to this greatest riddle of them all. And this is what he's come up with. He believes Stonehenge was a building with a roof on.
The fact that they moved these huge stones over all that distance, stood them up on end and built, the superstructure. To put a wooden roof on the outside wasn't much more effort. And it was well within their capability.
There were earlier, more rudimentary versions of Stonehenge, but the great circle of stones that we recognise today, known as the Sarsen Circle, was put up around 2,500 years BC. It encircled an inner horseshoe-shape arrangement of even bigger stones called the trilithons. Now, Bruce's theory is that the Sarsen Circle was put there for a practical purpose, to support a giant wooden roof underneath whose canopy the trilithons would stand.
From every lintel there was a beam going up to the apex, and this was a huge roof on the top of Stonehenge. And that big heavy roof was supported by 30 buttresses on the outside, so that the whole of the circumferential stresses, the weight of the roof, was then transmitted down through the buttresses into the ground.
Bruce has some compelling evidence. The so far unexplained rings of holes around the henge he believes held stones to support wooden buttresses. The fact that the inner but not the outer edges of the stone lintels were carved to right angles, where he believes the roof beams rested. And there's more.
We all agree henge means hang. I went to a builder and I said, in building terms, what's it called from one side to the other, from one wall to the other? And it's called a hang of the roof. And even today, large buildings like aircraft hangar, it's a building with no internal supports.
Then there's Woodhenge, the site 2 miles away from the stones, where a wooden structure with a roof on stood at the same time as Stonehenge. Bruce feels if this place had a roof to protect its ceremonies from the wind and rain, then surely its far more important big brother up the road would have had the same. The stones have been and will continue to be the subject of great debate. So says the official literature handed out to tourists here. But Bruce feels his theory has been excluded from that debate. He's tried to interest English heritage, custodians of the stones and their resident experts, but says they won't discuss it with him. So Bruce, this is as close as we can get or allowed to get to the stones today. In fact, English Heritage declined to be involved in this piece and refused us permission to interview Bruce inside the stone's barbed wire perimeter. We found one expert, though, who was prepared to give his thoughts on Bruce's theory.
The whole purpose of it, so far as we can see in the way that it's set out, is so that they could observe the sun moving across the sky from where it rose to where it set. So to have a roof on the thing would make it quite difficult to actually do that.
The sun will shine down through this central apex. In the wintertime, the sun at midday shines down and hits the top of the trilithion. And on Midsummer's Day, it hits the bottom. It calibrates the year and it also calibrates the day. So it was a temple in the truest sense of the word. Tempus comes from the word time.
There may be flaws, but in the absence of any definitive answer to Stonehenge's mystery, this is one man's vision of what might have been, a vision he'd dearly like to be debated further. Martin Dowse for Meridian Tonight.
One man's vision, and what a fascinating vision
It does seem quite plausible, that theory, doesn't it, in many
Fantastic.
respects?
Well,